Again, so we're streaming our event to different countries. So we've turned on the recording, started the recording, and I'd like to welcome all our colleagues. I'm happy to see you again. And our today's theme, our today's topic is really quite relevant. You already are aware that we are celebrating the International Year dedicated to the 100th anniversary of Heinrich Altschuler. In the framework of this year, we are hosting various events, conferences, webinars, and the Trees Developers Summit in cooperation with Maytrees Official prepared a two-day event, a two-day webinar. This webinar will be dedicated to a very topical issue, to a very relevant theme, which is the development of trees and developing those ideas enshrined, laid out by Mr. Altschuler. Our calendar is showing us that it is 100 days left until the 15th of October when Henrik Altschuler will turn 100 years old. Now, Simon, then over to you for some welcoming remarks, and then I will speak about the program. Thank you, Mikhail. I'm going to welcome all of you from Boston, from the city of Boston, from the United States. Mikhail has already mentioned that indeed this year is an anniversary year for all of us. The only thing I cannot agree with is when Mikhail mentioned the word event. Agricultural didn't like these bureaucratic words, activities, or events, so I don't want to call our today's webinar and other activities, other actions dedicated to the 100th anniversary of Altschuler to call them activities or events. A few from my side, a few welcoming remarks. On my part, you know that Mr. Altschuler left his footprint in almost all aspects related to this innovative thinking, innovative ideas. He laid down those basic approaches and methods. We are focusing on three main areas of Mr. Altschuler's work. The first one is developing technical systems, which is the theory of inventive problem solving or trees. He developed these main ideas, main pillars of this theory. He also developed those contradictions and principles, methods to address inventive problems, as well as those laws on developing of technical systems, Suffield analysis, indications of affect. So he laid down these fundamental principles, this fundamental backbone of this innovative creative thinking. This is the first area. The second area he was working in, and actually he did a lot in this area too, is the development of human creativity, this creative thinking, creative imagination, as well as this scale of fantasy, which we developed together with Pavel Amnuel, as well as the register of sci-fi ideas and situations. That is very immense work, and probably the humanity has not yet recognized his 10 volume work, 10 volume activity, which actually laid down understanding on what sci-fi fiction is based on. And the third area is the theory of creative personality development with Igor Burkin. He was working to develop these ideas, and at the end of his life, he dedicated most of his time to this third area, moving away from the technical aspects of trees. Due to his illness in the 1990s, he was not that active in the development of methods It was over 30 years ago when he stopped his powerful work in the field of teaching and methods developing, but he was successful in developing these large-scale ideas. And again, thanks to his work, this is still relevant even 30 years after that moment. So he managed to create a school of hundreds and thousands of successors, of students. He managed to set up three educational hubs, three educational centers. Again, this was a dedicated full-fledged school which he managed to develop. Today and tomorrow, we're going to present the results of Alture's school activities. Again, after his death, Trees moved on and continued its development. And within this webinar, we'd like to demonstrate that almost all fundamental ideas and areas founded by Henryk Saulovich Altshuler are continued today. So we are building on these ideas. And our today's input, our today's presentations will be building on those Altshuler's ideas as to how they are developing until today and how they are going to develop going forward in future. Trees is not like a conservative method. It's an evolving science. And I'd like to thank all of you and wish you a successful webinar. Maybe Mikhail, you will speak a few words, will tell a few words about the program, the agenda.
Mikhail.
Thank you, Simon. Those of you who have joined the webinar, I believe that you have already seen the program. I just want to remind you that our first speaker at the webinar will be Victor Fey, speaking on a very interesting topic, dynamics of needs and their use in the development of new products. And after that, we will hear a presentation by Alexander Trantin on bipolar techniques and how they are applied. Then after that, we'll make a short break, 15 minutes long, followed by two more presentations by Simon Litvin on application of trees analogies. And then another one, the fourth one, will be on standards for solving inventive problem. And this will be my presentation. I will speak at the end of our today's work. So again, Henryk Altshuler was born on the 15th of October in Tashkent. When he was young, when he was still young, in 1931 he moved to Baku, and he lived there until 1990. So then he also invented his first invention in Baku. So he invented this boat with the rocket-propelled engine, and after that he received the first inventor certificate. This was the document issued by the Soviet Union. Then after that, with Mr. Shapiro in 1948, they wrote a letter on the development of ideas and inventive ideas. This letter was not recognized, was not received like they didn't expect that it would be received. They decided that they were going to create some anti-Soviet movement. Both of them were sentenced to 25 years in prison. Altshuler turned out to be in a concentration camp, and then after that he was rehabilitated several years later. Then after that he published his first article, which was really a very important one, a very important article, which actually speaks about the main fundamental things of trees. This article was published in the Psychology magazine. This article became this first, starting point for the development of ideas of Mr. Altshuler, and also continued by his successors. Simon was quite right to mention that, again, a huge part of Altshuler's work was dedicated to creative schools and associations, as well as movements. The first association was the Trees Association, established by Mr. Altshuler. It was created in 1989. I and Simon visited one of the boards meetings of this association in Petrozavodsk. Simon, maybe you remember this experience. Further on, this association was transformed to an international trees association, bringing together increasingly more countries and specialists, experts to this work. In 1998, in Petrozavodsk, that was the year when Mr. Altshuler passed away, and his tomb, his grave is in Petrozavodsk, and there is this plaque on the house where Altshuler lived. So these are the key cities where Altshuler lived: Tashkent, Baku, Rustadi. So this is the city, the town where he studied. And then he spent a few years in Vorkuta, which were, of course, the grim days of his life. And then after that, he finished his life in Petrozavodsk. Again, dozens of countries have been developing trees, and if we look at the map of the world, we can see how this is distributed. Around 80% of the territory actually have those trees ideas distributed and implemented. So they know about these ideas and they are developing, these countries are developing these ideas. Today, we are having our first day of the webinar. Tomorrow, we will continue our work. During the webinar, the agenda for the current day is available here in the screen. This presentation with the agenda and with the information I have just presented will be shared to the chat for your reference. If there are any questions, you will be able to ask them through the chat. I believe that our simultaneous interpretation is also working.